Senate will come to order. Senator from the Cape and Islands, Senator Sear has filed an amendment, title which the clerk shall read.
Amendment number 115 by Mr. Sear, Steamship Authority.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The chair recognizes the senator from the Cape and Islands, Senator Sear.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for that hasty start. I rise in support of Amendment 115, which I have filed, and it's regarding the Steamship Authority. The Steamship Authority is the essential lifeline for residents in my district who reside on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. These are communities that are commonly known for, particularly this time of year, our wealthy summer residents, whether it's the six-time Super Bowl winning coach Bill Belichick on Nantucket, or now our distinguished former president and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama, who are two of Martha's Vineyard's newest summer residents. But I'd like to tell you about the Martha's Vineyard and the Nantucket that I know and that I work really hard to pay attention to. And it's one that it's a hardy year-round population of people who work tirelessly to eke out a living in a beautiful place, but a place that is difficult to make a living. The vast majority of year-round folks on the island are not wealthy. We have challenges of homelessness, opiate addiction, individuals with significant health and behavioral health needs that are exacerbated by their geographic isolation, poverty, and many, many people who live paycheck to paycheck, particularly in the winter months when our economy is quite quiet. And for too often, this is a view of the island that has not been in public view. And often when we think of these places, you think of our beautiful beaches and our just breathtaking natural environment, the amenities we have for summer visitors. But I want, and these are important and profitable parts of our communities. But in the now 3.5 years that I've been in this position, I've really worked hard to shine a light on these more hidden components of our island communities. I have a terrific partner in my colleague Dylan Fernandez, who represents these communities in the House. And there's a whole host of interesting pieces there. I'll note that Nantucket Public Schools, and we've been talking a lot about racial justice and really meeting the moment of the Black Lives Matter movement. In Nantucket Public Schools, in the younger grades, the elementary school grades are majority students of color. There are 14 languages spoken in Nantucket Public Schools, and Martha's Vineyard has similar trends. So this is where on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, the access to a lifeline to the Steamship Authority is essential, and the affordability of that service to get on and off island is absolutely crucial when year-round residents need to travel to the mainland for a medical appointment, when folks need to make a life there. We really struggle as a community to be able to attract and retain public servants like firefighters, like teachers, like municipal officials, municipal employees and workers, for a variety of businesses that serve our travel industry each and every day, because the cost of living is so high. And so many of those workers actually commute daily, either from Woods Hole or from Hyannis to work on the island. Why is that? Since Martha's Vineyard and then Nantucket have the highest property values in Massachusetts, and that's driven by a luxury real estate market. And so, Mr. President, at the outset of the pandemic, before the pandemic started, the Steamship Authority was in a strong fiscal position. This is the only agency in the Commonwealth that pays for itself out of the fare box. There is actually, I'm aware of only one other transit system in the country who is like the Steamship Authority that supports itself from the fare box. It is in Alaska, I'm told. But once the pandemic began and once we all took the necessary measures to shelter in place to reduce any social contact, the Steamship Authority saw its ridership plummet and its revenue plummet. Since it was established in 1963, the authority has not received a dime from the Commonwealth. But after months of plummeting ridership, the Steamship Authority does have some need. We were fortunate to receive some federal support for the Steamship Authority. I have terrific partners in our congressional delegation who are working to get more resources. But at this rate, and ridership has increased during these summer months, thankfully, but at this rate, the Steamship Authority is projected to potentially have a $22 million deficit at the end of 2020. And according to the enabling statute for the authority, if that deficit can't be resolved, if the Commonwealth has to borrow money to pay down that deficit, then it's up to the port cities to pay for that. A $22 million deficit at the end of 2020 would mean $6.6 million for the town of Nantucket that they have to come up with, $6.6 million for Martha's Vineyard towns. New Bedford, which is a port city, could get hit with a $2.2 million bill, and Barnstable and Falmouth with a $3.3 million ticket as well. So this amendment would ensure that the port communities that service the Steamship Authority, which include many in my district and several in the districts of my colleagues from Falmouth and my colleagues from New Bedford, this amendment would ensure that they're held harmless for any deficit at the end of 2020. With this amendment, we are ensuring that some of the furthest flung communities in the Commonwealth will continue to have access to their lifeline, their transportation lifeline, which is the Steamship Authority. I'd really like to thank my friend, the gentleman from Westport, and his remarkable staff who worked with us through a very complicated issue. This is an arcane statute. I really appreciate his support, his friendship, and the work that he and his staff did on this amendment, and I hope the amendment is adopted. Thank you, Mr. President.
The question comes on adoption of the amendment. All those in favor say aye, opposed no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. The senator from the Norfolk, Bristol, and Middlesex District, Senator Roush, has an amendment which the clerk shall read.
Amendment number 117 by Ms. Roush, Child Care Crisis Management.
The chair recognizes the senator from the Norfolk, Bristol, and Middlesex District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in favor of redrafted Amendment 117. I want to extend gratitude to our Senate President, the senator from Westport, and his incredible staff